Fellow nerds, what's going on? I am Charles of Sounds Nerdy. I got Jamocha here with me today. And we kind of want to discuss the future of Xbox. So at Microsoft's E3 press conference, they did mention that they were working on what would be the next Xbox, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, they didn't have really much detail, but as time went on, things started to leak, rumors started to swirl, and we have a little bit of detail on what their next console might be. So we want to talk about that and kind of talk about what we want to see from Microsoft, what we think would help them succeed next generation. So without further ado, again, I said at E3, Microsoft only mentioned working on the next Xbox. They didn't mention that there might be two different ones, but that did leak in some capacity. We don't know if it's 100% accurate leak, but it did leak. So there are going to be, the first one is going to be a traditional console, codename Project Scarlet. Mm-hmm. I like that name. The graphics card itself could be using DDR6 RAM, which is very powerful.
Yeah, because the current Xbox One uses the GDR5, so it's only logical to make the next jump up to the next, evolution of RAM. So I think that's a safe assumption.
Yeah, I think it is too. Hopefully the console won't be that expensive, but time will tell. I don't think it will be. It'll probably be in the same price range as the current Xbox lineup.
One. Well, it also depends on what other specs will be as well.
That's true.
What will the processor be? I assume it's going to be the next generation, maybe the next generation Jaguar. I think that's what they use. Mm-hmm. Now they're using the Jaguar chip, so I'm assuming it's going to be the next generation that, unless they flip the script and go totally different, which I don't think so.
I don't even think they need to.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
And how much hard drive space is it going to come with? Right now the Xbox One X comes with 1 terabyte hard drive. Minimum. I would like to see maybe 2 terabytes on the next generation. Yeah,
I think 2 terabytes would be safe, considering that those games are going to be substantially larger than what we're getting now.
Correct.
The 1 terabyte I have in my One X is doing fine for me now, but I am downloading games that have probably like 1080p games. Some of the games haven't been updated to support 4K, so they're not that large. So it's working for me, but
I have an external hard drive, 5 terabytes. So I knew 1 terabyte would not work for me. I think my other Xbox One X is full. So and that might have been a 500 gigabyte one.
Yeah, I think those are them.
Yeah. No.
So again, this is going to be a traditional console. What do you want to see Microsoft do with this console? Is there anything specific you want to see? How they roll this console out? What they focus on when they roll it out? Games you want to what kind of lineup would you like to see? Let's jump into that really quick, because I know me personally, I want to see them. I know Phil Spencer is probably going to do this because he's been doing an amazing job focusing on games. Yeah. I want to see him do that, just double down on that for the release of the new Xbox that's coming. And 2020 is the suspected time frame. So 2020, I'm thinking 2021 maybe.
I'm more so in that camp of the 21 camp. I don't think 2020. I think that's too soon. I think they want to try to ride out the Xbox One X momentum as long as they can. Yeah. I think if they release it in 2020, that means you could conceivably wait until E3 2020 to talk about it and release it in the fall.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm hoping 2021 personally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that will also give them time, sorry to cut you off, but to let the first party acquisition that they just did at this E3 mature a little bit to get some games to come out for the next generation. Because I don't think it's so much about this generation with those 5 or how many ever, I forgot how many, that they announced at E3. Mm-hmm. Let that be for the next generation.
Yeah, and I think it's going to depend on, I don't know that Sony's release date really matters in this situation, because I don't know that it mattered last. Well, Microsoft was first with the Xbox 360, right? and then PS3 came a year later. I don't know. That might tie into when they decide to push it out. I can't imagine. Well, I don't know what the console's going to be, but I believe that they can probably have it ready in 2020. Whether or not it's smart to release it in 2020 is another big question. But again, I think with this launch, the focus should be games. Just come out swinging as hard as you possibly can. Hopefully those studios are up to speed, like you said.
Halo Infinite would be a good launch title.
Yeah, just like they got to come out swinging this time around. And I'm talking about like doubling down on the crossplay, working with Nintendo to make sure that something can cross. Like just double down on everything that you're doing right this generation, and make sure you come in swinging.
Right, keep up that momentum. Do not start off like they did last time with those hurdles and mistakes that they did at the beginning.
Yeah, the TV stuff.
Right. Yeah, well, it's not necessarily the TV stuff. It's the way it was so locked down, and that stuff right there kind of hurt them in the beginning. They kind of gotten away from the media side of it, the TV stuff or whatever, and they focus on the games, which is fine. I think that's helped them. So just continue on this current path that they're on, and just like you said, double down on that.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that this will have a traditional disc drive, play Blu-rays, and all that good stuff. So I don't know. I don't even think they need to redesign the controller, but I'm sure they will do something to it.
Yeah, I love the controller. I mean, I'm sure they're working on it in some kind of way. They'll keep the same mold, but tweak it a little bit like they did with the Xbox One controller. So,
all right. So then we got the second console that is could be potentially released around the same time or earlier. I've heard people say that it might be an earlier type of thing.
Okay.
This is the Project Scarlet cloud-based console. Now, with this one, there's no physical media, which means that you, and it's cloud-based, which means that you will probably be streaming. That's what the rumors are saying. You'll probably be streaming. And it's supposed to be cheaper. Who will know what the specs will be? Right now, we just don't know much about it. One thing I do know is that it probably doesn't have to be as powerful as the main console, because it will be a streaming console.
Right.
But what do you think about this one?
So this one is a little perplexing to me. I don't know if I'm ready. Me personally, I don't know if I'm ready for a all digital download console. But that aside, so it'd be less hardware on your local end and doing all the crunching on the server side. Yeah. Again, I know I'm hearing rumors that they've been able to fix the latency problem. Yeah. And then that's really the big thing. If they've able to overcome the latency issue, then that's a huge plus. Also, will they be able to stream games at 4K 60 frames per second? My question, I highly doubt that.
No, it's not.
It's not going to be that. It's going to do that for people who want 4K gaming 60 frames per second. Then that's not going to be the console for you.
Yeah. So what I want to see, when I first heard this, my thought was, oh no, because for two reasons. I've tried every streaming service that has come along. So what was the first one? God, it was on PC.
On Live.
I had a subscription to that. I had a subscription to Sony's PlayStation Now. And the one thing that is very apparent in those is the latency, the controller latency. Like I was playing Uncharted on PlayStation Now, and it was god awful. Now I'm sure a lot of it had to do with my internet connection and then having to talk back to their servers. But still, I can't imagine most Americans have an internet connection that will be able to, take advantage of a 100% streaming box. This is why I wish that the Scarlet Cloud is what they originally intended for the Xbox One. So okay. I wanted to, because I don't think the original Xbox One was supposed to have a disc drive on it. I think it was just supposed to be all digital.
I think I remember hearing something about that.
And if that's the case, if it's digital, just all digital, and if you would like a streaming service on top of that, that's fine. But if it's just strictly streaming, I think I'm hard out on that for now.
Yeah.
If I can just download games to it and pay a cheaper price, but that would mean that this box would have to have the same specs as the traditional system, and I don't know if they want to cannibalize.
Yeah. Yep.
And it wouldn't be that much cheaper because they'd be just snatching the disk drive out. Like, how much cheaper could they make it just by snatching the disk drive out? So,
if you still plan for it to play traditional games, digital only,
But I mean, if Microsoft figured it out, like you said, and it works, no latency, it's cheaper. Maybe it's supposed to be like in addition to your main console, like, you know how most people have, because I have my PlayStation 4 in one room, and then I have a little streaming box where I can stream my PlayStation games to this PlayStation box. I forget, the name is slipping my mind, but PlayStation TV, sorry.
Okay.
In another room, and you can stream games to that, and that works pretty well because it just works through Wi-Fi. There's very little latency. I wonder if it's supposed to be like something like that, where it's just in addition to you having this extremely powerful box, you might have more than one TV. You don't want to buy another Xbox, so just throw this thing in another room.
Yeah.
$200.
Right. I mean, at that price point, yeah, it's not a bad, investment at that price point. I don't know. For me, and I could be wrong, but it could also fragment their user base. That's my one concern, because you have one segment who wants a more powerful gaming, more powerful console, all the latest 4K, 60 frames per second. Then you got another segment that just wants, that doesn't really care.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of what's happening now with the Xbox One X and the regular Xbox One. So
I think they're just trying to find a way to make that price even cheaper.
That entry point a lot cheaper.
Cheaper. They could potentially get a lot of people in that way, but the caveat that it's a cloud-based thing only. That's pretty big. Like, I think that the people you wanted to potentially get in might be cut off because of that reason. Like, it's a double-edged sword, kind of. Like, you're making something that's cheaper, but it requires internet connection that a lot of people still don't have to this day.
Right, or a nice, solid, speedy internet connection, especially here in America.
Yeah. But I don't know. It really depends on how they're handling this, because if their engineers figured out a way how to, put a lot of the game on the box, but like have some lifting in the cloud, and it doesn't require like you to have this ultra fast internet connection, it could work out.
I think from some of the rumors that I've heard is the way they've solved the latency issue was the local box will have a portion of the game running on it, and that way it can still handle most of the stuff, and then the rest of the game is on the server end. So I guess that's one way they can figure out the latency issue. If that's the case, and that's true, then that would be huge for Microsoft. Get rid of latency, coming at a cheaper price point.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for them in terms of figuring it out. It looks like, I don't know. This is how I look at Nintendo every time they're talking about a new system. Like everything, like I always have like a lot of doubts about what Nintendo is doing, and they pull it off. I think Microsoft. I think Microsoft can pull it off. I just hope they do it the right way this time. Like, I hope they sell this thing the right way. Tell us exactly what we're getting into if we're going to buy this box. Don't, like, try to sugarcoat anything. Let us know which console is for which person.
That's even if the second one is true.
Yeah, even if the second one is true.
Right.
I think he did say multiple devices, though, at E3. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, he did say multiple devices. But again, if they figure that out, I'd be pumped to try it out. Like, I probably will try it out.
Yeah,
I probably will try it out, but who knows?
So what about this thought here? So if they were able to fix the latency issue, why not just scrap this streaming box altogether and just implement it in your traditional one? I know it would be a heftier price, or it still be a regular price of a traditional console. But then you won't have that fragmentation.
I don't know that it. So that's another thing that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if the fragmentation would be a real issue. Because, say, for instance, this console does come out, and Microsoft was, I'm going to just say, dumb enough not to figure out a way that developers can just develop one way, and they do everything else on the back end. Okay. So, they get their dev kits out there and say, hey, this is how these things work. You need to have this, this, and this in place. Make it as easy as possible for developers while they're developing the game. Don't make them have to go out on these wild goose chases to try to figure out how stuff works with the cloud.
Right.
I think if they make it as easy for developers as possible, I think we don't have that issue with fragmentation per se. Because if everybody's playing the same game, it's just being rendered differently.
Yeah.
That problem goes away. But if they haven't figured that out, like, they have a lot of issues or potential issues that could arise from this that they need to figure out. I would be worried about the fragmentation too, but I don't know. It's very interesting. I like that they're doing it. Microsoft has seemed to be very forward thinking in the way that they're making their consoles. Even the Xbox One, I think I would still love to see how that was supposed to be. Like, I would want to see how the original Xbox One was supposed to be presented to us, but who knows? Either way, they acquired a few companies. I forgot to mention this while we were talking about that, to beef up their cloud ambition. So they got Havoc, Sipplegun, I think that's how you pronounce it, and PlayFab. Havoc is the physics engine, Sipplegun 3D game optimization, right? And PlayFab server-side tools and technologies, things like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about each one of those in a little bit more detail. So if obviously they're moving towards their cloud gaming platform, which is, I think, codenamed xCloud at this point. So taking the physics off of the game disk itself and moving it to the cloud, that's another way to not only help developers, help the hardware in on a cheaper console. You don't have to worry about that. So I think that's a good strategy of Microsoft, if they can take that physics engine, put it to the cloud, because physics is a beast. They can take that, just put it to the cloud, have it being computed on that end. That'll be nice.
I think the physics is the most strenuous on the CPU
to
this day. If I'm not mistaken, it is the most strenuous thing on the CPU. If your game has some decent physics, it's usually what slows down like games like Just Cause.
Right, you see everything start exploding and everything. Yep. That's all that physics, all that math and computation that's going on.
Yeah, if they could figure that out, that would be awesome. Man, their servers are going to have to get beefed up.
Well, they have that Azure. They have their platform Azure that's been around for a few years now. Yeah. So they have data centers. I even hear that they're making more data centers. So
that's not. I
don't think that's a problem for them. It's just the fact that will the hardware be able to handle it? That's the thing. Yeah.
Sipplegun. This is the first time I've actually ever heard of them. Maybe I've never seen a logo for them.
Yeah, no, I've never heard of them until we actually looked into doing this topic here. So apparently they're a 3D game optimization. So they help creators and users who use 3D data to optimize the content for pipelines and streamline the workflow. So basically, I think what's the benefit of this is all games have 3D models and whatever. Right. Have a lot of, things that going on. So if they can take that, put it on the cloud, take some of that, pressure off the hardware on the local end, the cheaper price point for that streaming Xbox. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And then of course PlayFab, server side tools. Never heard of them either, but what are they? Create connected games for mobile, PC, and console devices.
So they do a lot of mobile games, a lot of stuff that you will see on mobile. I looked at the list of games. Not many of the games I played. There were one or two that I played and heard of. So it allows them to have all their player information and data connected. So when you look at monetizing your players, they have tools where they can track player data, their logins, and all that type of stuff. So across all devices. So one of the things that they obviously they specialize in is mobile. So Microsoft has acquired them. Could this be Microsoft entering the mobile space in some capacity? This is just a wild speculation at this point.
Yeah.
Handheld, maybe, or just creating games for mobile devices.
I think so. Well, yeah, I think Microsoft is going towards this world where, you know, whatever box you choose to play on doesn't matter. Everybody's going to have a similar experience, or they want everyone to have a similar experience. Like you could stream your Xbox games to a PC already. Yep. You can cross-play with everybody now. I think they just want to make games. I think Microsoft wants to be a service more than anything else, and then their hardware is. They offer a bunch of different types of hardware, which I really like the idea of that. I can see why companies like PlayStation or Sony are afraid of that because PlayStation is known for its hardware. I'm not too sure Sony would know what to do if they had to become a service. Like, I don't know that they typically follow what Microsoft is doing in terms of their services they offer. So PlayStation Plus is a direct response to
Xbox Live.
Xbox Live.
Yep.
So I don't know. I can see why Sony would be afraid of doing something like that, or why I was speaking on the crossplay thing, but I think Microsoft wants to be a service.
Yeah, and I think PlayFab is one of the key points of their strategy. I mean, concerning what they do, so. Yeah, that's a big get for Microsoft. So
think if you could connect your Xbox controller to a phone and stream games.
Right. I was actually just thinking about that. Yeah. That would be pretty good. Yep.
Or a tablet, or that would be dope.
Yep.
So we talked about the price. Like, okay, so let's dive a little bit more into the pricing because I've alluded to what I think the streaming box is going to cost. What do you think the main box should cost?
If it's going to have the latest hardware pushing, I mean, obviously it would have 4K, 60 frames per second. The Xbox One X was $499 launch day. I assume it should be the same price, $499. I don't want to see higher than that. I mean, I think learn from the PS3 mistake. $599 is a no-no. $499, a little high, but it's manageable. You can deal with it.
I want to see them hit for their main console, the one that, you know, disk drive and everything. I want to see them hit 400 for that.
I would love for it.
I would like I would plead for them to hit 400 because that price, like, I know Sony's going to hit 400 for their next console. Whether or not it's more powerful than I don't know that matters right now. You can. I think they need to hit 400. That's the sweet spot for consoles, I think. And then this cheaper one, I think, should potentially try to hit 200.
I think 200 would be ideal for the streaming only one. Yep. Yeah.
You know, like, the damage they can do with a $200 and a $400 console is, like, I would be worried if I was Sony. Like, yeah, I would be down for that.
Especially if they have the games to back it up, too.
Yeah, and they got the games to back it up. Man, they could do some damage. They could come out swinging. I mean, $500, I'm still buying it, but I feel like people will pass.
People will pass on at the $500 price. I get that, right? But if it's a behemoth, a beast like the X is,
I don't know, man. I almost like, that's why I'm wishing that, or hoping that this streaming one can do digital games as well. But that would
kind of defeat the purpose. Of having a traditional one. Maybe you can do it at the same resolution, which I just don't see it. I just don't see it. No,
it's going to be 1080. It's got to be 1080p. If it's a streaming only console, it's got to be 1080p, or the performance is going to take a hit, bad hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're streaming anything at 4K. But yeah. That was about it. Did you want to add anything?
What about the monthly cost for that one?
The streaming service?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I thought about this, actually. I don't know that. So, like, other than maybe Xbox Live, price increasing maybe by like $10
$10,
for
yeah.
streaming people. I don't see them charging something separate. I don't think that they should charge something separate. They have a lot of services right now for Xbox.
Right.
Well, they have the two main ones. They have Xbox Live Gold, and then they have Game Pass.
Game Pass, yep.
I think you should try to somehow tie it to Xbox Live Gold if you're gonna charge people extra for the streaming console. Maybe add on $10 to their Gold subscription fee.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should be a third pillar of subscription.
Right, I
Just
think
keep
it's
it simple.
Yeah, that would be confusing to consumers, especially the average consumer, to see all these different things. Like,
Yeah,
what is
all
this?
this?
Right, exactly.
Like,
So yeah,
You got to just keep it at two. Do add-ons for the Xbox Live. What do you think it should be?
I think $10 a month is doable. I wouldn't have a problem with paying $10 for a streaming only console. What about the game prices themselves?
Yeah, then that begs the question of, okay, I'm paying $10 extra a month to have you stream games to this console. Is it gonna be? They have to make sure that experience is at least 1080p. I don't even know. Like, would you pay 1080? Would you pay an extra $10 for 1080p?
Me personally, no.
device?
I'm in the 4K era. There's no way I can do that now.
Like, I don't think I would do it. Like, even though I don't really care about 4K gaming as much as you do, I don't think that I would pay $10 extra to stream,
just to do 1080p.
Yeah, just to stream a 1080p game. It's not worth it. So it begs the question: should they just let it ride? Okay, you paying for Xbox Live, you can stream.
Yeah.
If you buy this console, you can stream. Get people in the door. I don't know. They got a lot to figure out, dude.
They do.
It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what they come up with and how they present this to us. And hopefully it is very well presented and worth the price of admission.
All right, so hopefully we start hearing some more information about these. Probably next year.
Yep.
Next year, hopefully.
Probably next year.
If all this is true. Well, we know they're working on the next thing. It's just
When they're going to show it.
Yep.
All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you for joining us for this conversation. I really want to know what you think about these consoles and the rumors that we're hearing so far. What do you want to see from a Microsoft? What do you want to see from PlayStation? We might discuss that later on in another episode. But again, thank you for joining us for this conversation. I have been Charles of Sounds Nerdy. You can follow me on Twitter at CharliePinkSN. And
you can follow me, Jamocha, on Twitter at SNJamocha.
Yep. You can follow Sounds Nerdy on Twitter at Sounds Nerdy. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you like this content. We have a couple of reviews coming up. Check out some of our not old reviews, but we just did a dual headphone review. It's pretty dope. Be sure to check that out. Anyway, guys, that's about it. Thank you for joining us. And until the next time, take care.
Stay nerdy.